sequence. Don't have any worries. If you are not familiar with yin, I'll give you a quick explanation about that. Yin is a style of yoga that is, it's deep stretching is what it is. And what happens is we come into certain poses and then we hold them, typically anywhere from about 2 minutes to about 5 minutes, sometimes longer. It really just depends on the practice. And the reason that we hold those poses for the length of time that we do is because as we hold them, then the muscles start to disengage, because the muscles usually engage to protect our joints. So once the muscles disengage, then it allows the stretch that we're doing to work its way deep into the joint. So it works the joint, the tendons, the ligaments, the synovial fluid, which is the gel or the liquid that's within the joint. So it's highly beneficial, but there can be a lot of sensation with it. So not only does it benefit you physically, but it benefits you emotionally, because it allows you an opportunity to kind of challenge yourself. It challenges you to sit still, and it challenges you to really kind of explore how you're feeling and what sensations are coming up in the body. But I just want to share with you that if at any point you feel like that sensation that's coming up for you is pain, then I encourage you to back out of it a little bit, adjust it, or come out of the pose completely. I'm going to take you through 2 poses, and we're going to hold both of them for about 2 minutes. And then there's going to be some silence during the pose. You can just kind of absorb and practice sitting kind of with that stillness and with that silence. I would like you to have 1, if not 2 blankets. It's really a case of personal preference, if anything. But if you have 1, that's great. And the first pose that we are going to come into is called caterpillar pose. So what you are going to do, and there's no warm up or any type of movement that happens in yin, because yin really likes the muscles to be cold without any like heat in them or blood flow in them, like you would kind of get when you start to do kind of the warm up that you would typically do in a yoga practice. This is a cool practice. This is a dark practice, not dark as in scary, dark as in it's the opposite of light. It's the counterbalance. Yin is the calm to all of the yang that we experience during the day. You know, we're very active and we tend to exercise very actively and increase our heart rate. Well, this is the counterbalance to that. So it creates that yin to the yang, you know, those little symbols that you see with the black and the white. So coming into caterpillar pose, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a little thing there, but I like to share a little bit about the practice. So you're going to come into your sit bones. You're going to extend the legs out long. Now, if you are a little bit more flexible, if you have a little bit of extra flexibility in your hamstrings, you might not need anything. I tend to have tight hamstrings. So if that's the case, what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your blankets and you're going to kind of just fold it up, roll it up. And you're going to take that and you're going to slide it underneath your knees. So that creates a little bend in the knees, and then go ahead and let the legs relax. You have an option here to use the second blanket if you have it. It's up to you. You might want to roll it up, make a little pillow out of that. And then you're going to come back. You're going to square the shoulders right over the spine. I'm just grabbing my little timer here. Square the shoulders over the hips. I think I said spine, so I'm sorry about that. And sit yourself up nice and tall. Find that nice tall posture that I like to talk about. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start to round through the spine and start to see if we can start to draw our chest over our thighs. Now, if you notice that there is a lot of space kind of here between the thighs and between the chest, that's a great place to add that extra blanket that offers a little bit of support there. And then close the eyes, maybe if you haven't already, and then take a little scan and allow the whole body to start to soften. So we can actually encourage those muscles to start to disengage. And then you're just going to start to settle in. So the practice of yin, I just want to share with you real quick, is based on the same premise of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. So it works on your meridian lines, which if you're not familiar with those are your energy lines that run throughout your body And there's thousands of them. And this particular pose, the reason I like to do it is because it actually works your kidney meridian, which is obviously runs along your back here. And this is a great pose to do if you're feeling like you're kind of off center, like you're out of focus, like you're just not quite where you need to be or where you normally are. This is a great pose to come into, hold it for a couple of minutes, and it really helps just with concentration and focus, and it can also help with energy. So it's the reason I like to teach this pose. We have probably about another minute, so let's just settle into some stillness. Depending on where your attention ended up, let's go ahead and start to guide it back to our breath. And then guide that attention from your breath to the top of the head. You can take the hands and place the palms on the floor beside your hips, and then using your arms, start to slowly draw the top of the head up towards the ceiling, and then pause for a moment. Taking a breath there and upright. If you've taken a blanket on your thighs, go ahead and move it off to the side. And then let's bring our fingertips behind us, tented fingertips, and switch the fingertips so that they're facing towards you. And then let's press into the fingertips, draw the shoulder blades and the elbows together, and lift and open the chest. And really sit yourself up and out of that low back. And then bring yourself back to neutral. If you've taken the blanket underneath your knees, you're going to go ahead and slide it over to the side. And then the next pose that we're going to come into is into the spine. So we just did some flexion. We just did some forward folding. Now we're going to come into some extension with a little heart opener. So you're going to take one of your blankets. And this is really a matter of personal preference. So you might find that once you get into the pose, you need to adjust it. And that's okay, because you want to find what works for you. So I'm going to take my one blanket from just a basic folded up position, and I'm going to open it up once, and then I'm going to open it up twice. And this is just where I like to have this. And then I'm going to take that blanket and I'm going to roll it up. So I got a long skinny roll. And I'm going to place it sideways. Now I happen to be on a yoga mat. I didn't mention this at the beginning of the practice, and I'm very sorry about that, but you don't need a yoga mat for this. You just, some floor space is just fine. And then what you're going to do is you're going to place it behind you. And as we lower ourselves down, I want it to be right in the kind of upper lumbar, lower thoracic area. Okay. So just kind of right in here, if that makes sense. So you're going to play around with it. You're going to find what works for you. So bring your hands behind you. Let's lower ourselves down. And then take a moment, kind of notice how that feels. Like I said, there's sensation. So you might find that you want to adjust it a little bit. Maybe you need to move it up just a smidge. And then before we settle into our shoulders, I want you to bend the feet. I'm sorry, you don't bend your feet, bend your knees. Sorry about that. Place the soles of the feet on the mat and then widen the feet a little bit and let the knees rest on each other. And then from there, we're going to check in with those shoulders. So just kind of draw the shoulders up towards the ears and then slide them down the back. And see if that kind of helps open the chest as we start to relax our shoulder blades into the mat. Bring the arms to wherever they're comfortable, maybe extend them out to the side. And before we really start to settle in, let's soften the body. Kind of notice where we're at. One more thing is check in with the back of the neck. Tuck the chin a little, make sure the back of the neck is long. Now let's close our eyes and just start to relax. Start to soften. Notice any areas that you're holding in attention and just try to let that go. Just settle yourself into the silence. And I will guide us back when it's time. Let's just very gently begin to guide our attention back to where we are. Just finding the breath. And just starting to prepare the body for a little bit of movement. And then when you're ready, you can start to maybe move the fingers or the toes. And then we're going to roll onto our side and we're going to bring ourselves up just enough. We can grab a hold of that blanket and we can slide it off to the side and then go ahead and bring yourself back down onto your mat. Just take a moment here. Maybe notice how the spine feels now that it doesn't have that blanket underneath it. Maybe you feel a little bit more opening in the chest, or maybe your spine itself feels just a little bit different. Just take another round of breath here. And if you want to stay on your back and you want to close your practice here, you're more than welcome to. If you want to follow me to seated, you can go ahead and just roll yourself onto your side, press yourself up. Let's bring the hands to heart center, coming into Anjali Mudra. And I just want to say before we close that yin is definitely one of those practices that lingers with you. So anytime you practice yin, I try to offer yin up a few times a month to you. But anytime you practice yin, I encourage you to kind of notice how you feel after the practice, as you go into the rest of your day or into your evening or whatever it is, and just have a little bit of awareness and notice if there's a little bit of a difference. And let's close our eyes for a moment. Just take a moment for gratitude. It's always gratitude for yourself at the end of your practice. It's just so important to take a moment or so out of our day just for ourselves, for our bodies, for our minds, for our hearts. And of course, I have immense gratitude for you for sharing your time, your energy, your space, and your practice with me. It means the world to me. If you like this practice, I encourage you to leave me a review. And if you wish to contact me, my email is available inside of my bio. I want to thank you. I hope you have a most wonderful day. Namaste.